And today is, if I'm not mistaken, the 4th day of Christmas, or the 4th day of Advent, I should say. And as you can tell, because the video is already rolling, I'm going to be doing gaming videos every Wednesday from now until Christmas. Now, this one, as is quite clear, is a Sailor Moon video game, and that's just because it happened to be the one that I was playing when I was recording. This particular game is a puzzle game. As you can see, it's kind of like almost an inverted Tetris in a way. You're basically trying to clear out your balloons and get the talismans down to the bottom of your screen. So there's 3 kinds of talismans, and on the screen you can see them right now. There's the mirror that's at the bottom right hand, the blue thing, and there's the sword, which is also right beside the mirror now, because I'm way behind, and I'm actually going to lose this match if I remember correctly. And then there's the heart, which is right above my character on the left. And once you get these 3 talismans down to the bottom of the screen, you win. So again, it's kind of like a Tetris-y thing in the sense that you're aligning colors to I guess, destroy them or get rid of them. However, you'll notice that blocks or balloons actually don't actually disappear when they just become side by side. You have to activate them with your little kitty, and you can create combos, and the more combos you get, the more you make other people's, the more balloons you give the other person, and so the harder it is for them to get their talismans to the bottom. And as you just saw, I lost horribly. But I don't think I lose again after that. I'm usually pretty good at this game. Right now I'm playing on the hardest level, so it's a little more fast-paced, but I figure that'll be okay for you guys since it's mostly just there for you to watch something while you listen to my voice and try to get some rest. So many of you know that I like RPGs. I'm a big RPG fan, but what a lot of you probably don't know is that I also love puzzle games. Even within the RPG genre, one of my favorite things is doing the puzzles in those games. It's just, I love making my brain work, and the logic puzzles are probably my favorite. I don't claim to be a guru at them or anything, but I love the kind of, I think there's a specific name for them, but I call them grid logic puzzles. So it's the kind where you have a number of clues. So like, for example, you're trying to figure out who ate the pie, and there's person A, B, and C, and person A says B and C didn't do it, and person B says C didn't do it, and then person C says B didn't do it, and one of them is lying, and that's all the information you have, kind of thing. And you have to figure out who stole the pie. I adore those. They're my absolute favorite. I could just spend hours doing logic puzzles perfectly happily, but this kind of puzzle game too, I consider it a puzzle game even though it's action oriented. This kind can be pretty fun too, and I can also get slightly addicted to these. Now, as you can see, this time I am absolutely creaming Sailor Mars, and I'm talking like you know this. I know my not all of my fan base, if you will be aware of what this is. This is, as I said, Sailor Moon. I am playing Sailor Venus on your left. She was always my favorite in the TV show. And on the right, who I just completely walloped, is Sailor Mars. And I'll explain them as we go through, and I'll give you a better idea about what exactly it is that I'm doing. Some people like to hear about that kind of thing. So now I'm playing Sailor Mercury, and or I'm playing against her rather. And as the game goes on, you'll notice that more little items show up on the screen. It's not just your talismans anymore. and your balloons, of course. You get other items that give different abilities. For example, you noticed in the previous one that occasionally I would get something that got rid of a bunch of balloons kind of sporadically everywhere, and that is your locket. And I'll show you a locket. If one comes up on the screen, I'll let you know. But the locket, what you can do is you activate the locket, and then you click on a balloon of a certain color, and all the balloons of that color disappear. And what I just used right there a second ago was the scepter. And when you use the scepter, you activate your particular character's special power. So in my case, using gamer parlance, Venus is super trolly and super OP. So for non-gamers, basically means that she's kind of a cheap character, because if you use her correctly, she pretty much will win every game, because her special power, when you use it, it gets rid of 2 special items on the other team, or on the other person's screen. So, for example, if they have a talisman and they have a locket, if Venus uses her special power, those both disappear. So if you time your scepter right, you can always get rid of their talismans, which makes it almost impossible for the other person to win, because without any talismans on your screen, you can't get them to the ground, obviously, and you can't collect them. So yeah, she's really annoying to play against, which is one of the reasons, apart from the fact that she was my favorite in the series, one of the reasons I picked her, because I can't stand playing against her. She's so annoying. So I figure I'll just play as her instead. If you can't beat them, join them, right? So yeah, since there's no other new items in this particular thing, I guess I could explain Sailor Mercury's power. Oh, I'm trying to get rid of that talisman. You can see me use my power a lot. But Sailor Mercury's power is also extremely annoying when she does get a chance to use it. Because I'm Venus, I'm kind of controlling that. But normally when she uses her power, you'll notice whenever my little cat thing goes over, or Luna Peeball, for those who are aficionados, goes over a balloon, it shows the color. It changes from this kind of pale white teal thing to one of the colors that you can use to get rid of. When Mercury uses his power, or her power, sorry, for a limited time, your little cat thingy can't flip over balloons, so you're just stuck with whatever you have. Eventually the power kind of like fades away, and then you can use it, or you can start flipping over balloons again, but until then you are stuck with whatever you have, and that can get really annoying if you don't have that many balloons flipped over. And there we go, she just did it. You're gonna see I can't flip over any balloons. I'm just kind of working with what I have, and not really, I can't flip over anything, so I'm just waiting for it to wear off at this point. You can see, you can also, yeah, along the divider line, you can also get combos as well. So here I'm going to be a super troll, and I'm going to get rid of her talisman again, so poor Mercury just can't do anything against Venus. But, yeah, what other things? Oh, interesting thing, there's a locket. That's what it looks like, by the way, that thing I just used. When you start a combo, you can't stop a combo. So like when you click once, if there's another combination possible, you'll keep clicking until you can't get rid of any more balloons. So that can be really good in the sense that you don't have to click individually every single time. Combos happen automatically in that sense. But it can also be bad if you don't see the combo in advance, and then you just keep clicking and you didn't necessarily want to get rid of what you ended up getting rid of. So that can be a tricky spot. So playing the game, you have to, stay ahead of your opponent, and you have to be able to see ahead to see the combos and how the balloons are going to drop. But you also have to be quick, because the enemy can disrupt your combos with their own. So, for example, you'll notice whenever you get a long combo, it adds a layer of a layer of unflipped balloons to the bottom of the enemy's screen, and the same can happen to you. So if they add a layer, that will disrupt your combo that you're making, or it can disrupt your combo. So yeah, it can be interesting. Oh, sorry, I'm just hearing something in the background. My husband's doing something bizarre. I think he's carving, but it's making a weird sound. Sorry about that. And I'm sorry if you can hear it. But yeah, so now I'm playing Sailor Jupiter. And again, I think we still just have the two basic items, the locket and the scepter. And Jupiter's power, I believe she uses it at least once in this match, so you'll actually get to see it. But she changes all balloons of a random color into, oh, you'll see it right here. So all my blue balloons became electrical, and you can't get rid of electrical balloons. Eventually they'll just go away on their own once the power wears off, and they'll just kind of revert to just uncovered balloons, but you still have to go uncover them. And then you'll notice when she uses it again, it selected a different color, so that prevented me, that was actually really stupid on her part, that prevented me from having to go like look at them and check them again. They just were automatically undone for me, and here I'm going to troll her again and get rid of her talisman. So yeah, Jupiter's not playing very well. But she's a computer, so what can you do? But yes, I think that's all for right now, so I'll just keep talking about puzzle games. Oh, never mind, there's a new item. The gem. The gem will have different effects depending on which color balloon you activate. So you activate the gem and then you activate a color. If you activate blue, it'll turn all of your balloons face up. So they'll all be colored. And if you activate pink, it does the opposite to your enemy. So all of their balloons become face down, except for their talismans, and there's another thing that will stay face up, but we haven't seen that yet, so I'll explain that when we get to it. If you activate green, the balloons along the dividing line switch places. So her first row becomes my last row, and vice versa. If you activate yellow, it gets rid of the bottom row, or your bottom row. And again, that excludes talismans and the other thing that I'll tell you about when we get to it. And I think that's all the colors. Green, yellow, blue, pink. Yep. So that's the gem. See, he disrupted my combo right there. I could have kept going, and now I am going to keep going and completely wreck him. But anyway, this is Tuxedo Mask. He is the main love interest of the main character, if you are unfamiliar with the series. And I really don't know how they came up with the name Tuxedo Mask, apart from that's obviously what he's wearing. I get the feeling it's a bad translation of some kind. And his magical power, when he uses the scepter, is to be a total nuisance and stay in the middle of your screen, like he's doing right now. So if you're playing Tuxedo Mask against a computer, that does absolutely nothing. It's really only useful against human players. So he just used the gem against me. But when you are a human player and are playing against Tuxedo Mask, it's quite annoying. And eventually he jumps back, as you can see. Now you'll look on the left side of my screen and you'll see this angry looking flashing thingy. And those are the other things that your gems and your arrows, everything, nothing can get rid of those. They will stay upright. As you just saw, that didn't disappear even when all my other balloons went face down. So I can't get rid of that with the gem either, or with those arrows. And I didn't explain the arrows. The arrows just shoot in whatever direction they're facing. So you can get rid of a row or a column of balloons. And if you're getting rid of a row, it does shoot the enemy's row as well. So yeah, those enemy things don't really do anything in the sense that they're just kind of there. And they hatch from those eggs that you can see. There's an egg on the top left, and they'll start kind of looking squishy and stuff. It's a little weird. But anyway, they hatch from those egg things. But the one bad thing about the enemies is if a talisman is ever directly beside one of those enemy things, the enemy thing disappears, but it eats your talisman. So that's obviously a problem when you're trying to collect them. Those egg things, the one you can see an egg thing directly above the flashing enemy thing, you can get rid of them by using arrows, by gems. You can get rid of them using pretty much anything. It's just once the eggs hatch that you can't get rid of them. And the only way to get rid of the enemies once they are hatched is through using a scepter. And when you use your scepter, when you have an enemy on your board, it automatically gets rid of your enemy, and you can't use it on your opponent. So that choice is kind of made for you. And see, watch, this one's going to eat. He's going to eat my talisman, which made me sad. But that's okay. Talismans do reappear eventually. It's just a nuisance when you get it that far down and then it is eaten. But yeah, that's pretty much how the game goes. I am going to take you through the whole game. And I should also mention that this is the upgraded, or the super version. Of course, the game is Japanese, as is strikingly obvious from the fact that you've seen absolutely no English so far. But I completely lost my train of thought. I'm really, really tired. Oh, someone can comment, or maybe I'll remember it halfway through. The game is, oh right, now I remember. The game is in Japanese, but after you beat the levels, they give you codes, and thankfully the code is an image. Otherwise, because it's in Japanese, I would never get it. I haven't practiced my hiragana and my katakana enough to know to read everything. But they give you these codes, and then you can input the codes at the beginning of the game, and you can access new opponents. So this is the fully accessed version. So I have access to all of the Sailor Scouts to play as and to play against in this kind of like arcade single player type mode. You can also play against friends in like a versus thing, but because this is on an emulator and I don't have any joysticks, I can't really do that. So yeah, I don't think this game was ever published in not just Canada, but in the States or in North America. Otherwise, I would have purchased it, but I've only ever found it in a Japanese version, and I've never even found a translation for it. Sometimes if you're looking for games, you can find, you can buy like a legal version of the game, and you can get a fan translation patch kind of thing, and someone will have translated it into English, so it makes it easier to figure out which button is settings and which button is such and such. I kind of had to figure it out myself just by playing around. But this one I couldn't even find a fan translation, so I don't know how popular it was even within Japan. But I quite enjoy it. It's kind of my brain-numbing game. I play it whenever I am tired of studying or whenever I just need to shut my head off for a while. And yeah, that's this video is basically, I just spent several hours in classes and working on school stuff. This is my last week before Christmas break, so everything is due. So I've been panic lady for quite a while now. But yeah, this was my little break to refresh my brain, and now I'm laying in bed recording the audio and hopefully uploading this tonight if I can, because I want to have this uploaded before day 5 officially hits, because I'm supposed to have a video every day, right? So this Advent thing works. But yeah, I think those are all the items that you can get: the locket, the egg, the gem, the scepter, the arrows, and the evil things. Oh, I should talk about Chibi Moon, or Mini Moon, depending on whether you're going with the English or the Japanese version. She, her power thing is she can put up umbrellas that will prevent your balloons from falling. As you saw, I just got rid of an umbrella not that long ago, and that can be painfully annoying if you have a talisman coming down one row and Mini Moon puts up an umbrella, so you can't get past the umbrella. The only way to break through the umbrellas is with an arrow, and I got lucky and I had an arrow. And here we go, I troll Chibi again. Oh, never mind, I didn't even notice. Here we go, now I troll her and get rid of her talisman. But, yeah, for those of you, I did get a lot of really positive feedback when it came to gaming videos, and especially the Super Mario ones. And for those of you waiting on those, you don't have to worry. I do plan on finishing up the Super Mario World series, and I do plan on doing other gaming videos, as well as the Inspired By series. I've got a lot of great ideas, a lot more ASMR artists or whisperers that I want to do Inspired By videos for. But I'm just kind of waiting for the Advent season to be done, because then my schooling will be way less stressful, for one thing, a lot more time, and I can keep the Advent videos kind of special and different, and have the other series be separate from my Advent series. So now we are against Failure Uranus. All you immature people, have a good laugh. Her kind of power thing is she can just cut out a row of your, or not a row, a column of your balloons, which is super annoying, and she trolls me with it something fierce a little later in this match, because she gets rid of a talisman when she does it. It's not like a gem where you can't get rid of talismans with it, with her ability, and I think with all abilities you can get rid of talismans. So that makes the scepter probably the most crucial item in the game. You just really need to use them to get rid of enemies and to troll your opponents. But yeah, like I was saying, this is a fun little game. My all-time favorite puzzle game ever, though. And I guess I'm kind of cheating because it's not a single game, it's a series of games. But have any of you guys ever played the Professor Layton series? I don't know if it's exclusively for DS, but I've only ever seen the DS versions. Oh, there Uranus gets me something fierce. But I own all of them thus far that have been published in North America. And they're kind of like my addiction. I get so addicted to them. They're so fun, though. I can just completely lose myself. Basically, the game is all brain teasers. So it's all these logic puzzles and like Sudoku type things and chess puzzles, and there's no competition, there's no fighting or like battles. It's just puzzles upon puzzles upon puzzles, and I just adore it. It's my all-time favorite series of games, apart from like RPGs, which obviously hold a special place in my heart. But apart from my RPGs, and I guess Layton could qualify as an RPG, but it's really a puzzle game, and I adore it. If you haven't played those and you like puzzle games, you really have to get on that. It's totally worth it. I adore them. But yeah, I like playing games when I get the chance, when I'm not super busy, because it's just such a nice way to relax and just kind of chill and escape a bit. Everything's so hectic, especially, I know, final year, everything's pretty crazy, but it's nice to get away and play some Sailor Moon. This is also a really long video. I wasn't intending, I've never really heard anyone complaining about me putting out a long video before. I know it happens to other people, but I've never had that complaint. I guess you're all very patient. But it wasn't my intent to make such a long video. I just kind of got a little too into it and kept playing right until the end and never shut off the recording. So my guess is that I'm going to run out of things to say long before the video runs out. But I'll just try and keep talking because that's why we're here. So I'll do my best for you guys. And I apologize for not planning that through very well. But there we go. I just beat Uranus. Haha. And now we're moving on to the less innuendoed Sailor Scout. I'm up against Neptune, and I'll tell you, if I'm not playing Venus, I'm almost always playing Neptune because her ability is almost as annoying. It's very similar to Mercury's, in the sense that it has a limited time duration and affects the entire board of the opponent. But hers, instead of stopping you from turning over balloons, stops you from getting balloons. So when you eliminate balloons through combos, no balloons come down to replace them. And again, if you do that while the person has no talisman on the board, you are effectively preventing them from getting any talismans. And you'll see, she just used her power on me. You'll see that when I start eliminating balloons, no more show up to replace them. But yeah, there you go. No balloons. I just have to fend for myself. It makes combos a lot harder too, so it kind of gives Neptune herself a reprieve because I'm not getting a bunch of eliminations in a row. So she's kind of safe from getting more balloons added to her stack. So she kind of gives herself a break. But I believe I'm going to kind of turn the tides here by successively using my power to get rid of her talisman and then comboing her to death with my newfound balloons. Yeah, there we go. This is much better. And that's why Venus is super annoying to play against. Although, usually I have a tougher time with Neptune than I'm having in this particular match. See, she's usually more difficult. Excuse me, my nose is itchy. But that's okay. You won't hear any complaints from me. Not about anyone being too easy in a video game setting. Whew, I'm getting dry. I should have brought something to drink with me. I hope you guys are enjoying the Advent series so far. I hope to be enjoying them more once I'm done this craziness of applying for stuff and just finishing up exams and the school year and all that. But it's still fun to do. I still enjoy making the series. It's just going to be even more fun when I realistically have the time to make all these videos as opposed to stressing like a crazy person as I make them, thinking I should be writing my thesis right now. But that's okay. This is my little tradition and everyone looks forward to it, even me. So I'm not gonna give up on it. Not gonna let school get in the way of things I want to do. You go to school to do what you want with your life, or to be able to do what you want with your life, but it seems silly if it's going to prevent 4 to 8 years of your life from happening. So I always try to keep as much of a balance as I possibly can. Sometimes that's tough though, because I'm also a perfectionist overachiever, so I'm sure many of you can relate to that. Oh, well. There's only three more sections after this, or 3 more Sailor Scouts I have to fight my way through. And I think this particular battle ends rather soon, if I remember correctly. There we go. So Neptune is done, and next up will be Pluto. And as a kid, I always thought Pluto was super cool, because she was like, I don't know, I can't explain it without referencing other generational things. Like, I was gonna say she's kind of like the Mewtwo of Sailor Scouts, as in she's super rare, but that's just referencing Pokemon, and that's not really any better, so I don't know. But I kind of lost my love of Pluto as I got older, because I realized how completely ridiculous she was. I mean, she's still pretty cool, as in she's supposed to be like the daughter of the god of time or something, but just she sacrifices herself, I think, every single episode she's in, and then somehow magically reappears every single episode to sacrifice herself for the betterment of everyone else. So she's kind of like this, it's kind of like bringing a lamb onto the show, like or like a scapegoat or something. She always ends up dying, like every time, and then she always magically comes back for no good reason and without explanation. So I've reverted back to Venus as my favorite. But I do still think Pluto has a cool character design, and I like her hair. It's a pretty color. I like that dark green. But yep. That's about all there is. Oh, I don't think Pluto uses her power at all in this one, so I'll tell you what that is. Hers is not too devastating, I find. What she does is she moves the dividing line 1 space to the left, so it gives her a lot more, balloons, or many more balloons, and it gives you fewer. And if your talisman happens to be along the dividing line, then she can get rid of your talisman that way. I was trying to use my power there to get rid of her talisman, but she got it just before I could use it. Sneaky. But yeah, I don't think she uses her power at all in this one, so nothing to see. Mostly it's just watching the balloons change in color and the little bouncing kitty. I know repetitive motion can be relaxing for some people, so this is about as repetitive as it gets while still being a game. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. And it's something visual, right? I've had just pictures for the past 3, so I wanted to do something with some kind of visual aspect. And I totally admit to being lazy and not filming something. But this is what you got. And I will be filming stuff for the Advent series. It's just not happening right now. Because I'm still too busy. But there will be maybe some filmed rambles in there, or who knows. You still don't know what's happening on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, so perhaps one of those will be a day that requires filming. We shall see. Actually, you shall see. I already know. I've got it all planned out, but here we go. The title track. We're playing Sailor Moon herself. Now, originally, before you beat the game, a couple times. She is just regular Sailor Moon. In this, now that I've got the codes inputted after having beaten the game a few times, she's, I forget what it's called, either Super or Eternal. I don't know. She gets all kinds of different names throughout the series, but she's not normal. She has some kind of special thing going on now, and it ups her scepter ability. So when she uses her scepter ability, you'll see what I mean. It makes it stronger. But yep, that's like I said, the title track, Sailor Moon herself. And I always wanted my hair to look like hers when I was really little. Oh, there you go. She uses her scepter. Normally that only takes out like a little tiny square, but when she's all powered up, it takes out a huge amount of balloons. So you have a much better chance of eliminating a talisman when you're playing as her, or against her, I guess. But I always wanted my hair to look like Sailor Moon, but my hair is extremely, extremely thin and brown and short, so that never really worked for me. It was always one of those lifelong dreams that I've never achieved. But that said, now that I've seen people who try to have her hair like for cosplay type things, I'm kind of glad it didn't work out, because it always looks, well, in English they call her like meatball head, and it really does look like spaghetti and meatballs when it's on a human being and not an anime character. So like I said, kind of glad that didn't work out, although it's a cool hairstyle and very iconic for her. And again, for those who are familiar with the series and stuff, for the rest of you, it's just a bizarre hairstyle. But that being said, there's only one more to go after this, and is with one of my favorites, Sailor Saturn, who was the last introduced of all of the Sailor Scouts. And I'm trying to remember now. I know when I did my Inspired by Whisper Ocean, I talked about a Sailor Scout, and I can't remember whether it was Mini Moon or Sailor Saturn. I feel like it was Mini Moon, but oh well, it's not a big deal. You'll see her next up after I cream Sailor Moon, although, man, that does take out a huge chunk, doesn't it? It's like a balloon crater that she creates. That said, I find her power one of the weakest out of all of the options. I don't generally, well, again, she's not one of my favorites anyway, but I don't generally like playing as Sailor Moon. I find her power is not as easy to exploit. I like higher strategy characters, I guess, which again sounds ridiculous. I'm sitting here, I'm a married woman and playing Sailor Moon, so whatever. You do what you do, right? And what am I saying? I'm sure Serenity whispers. I haven't heard from her in ages, but she would wholeheartedly approve of grown married women playing Sailor Moon. So who am I to say otherwise? I'm just part of the crowd. But yeah, I am totally running out of things to say, which I believe is becoming extremely apparent. I'm hoping that all of you have fallen asleep at this point and aren't actually still listening to me ramble on about absolutely nothing. At least here we go. I'm gonna win this one, because as soon as this little animation is done, I get my last talisman. And we're hitting the home stretch, folks. This game is almost over. We are almost at the climax. It really should be an anticlimax. It's not very exciting, the ending, but that's okay. This was made in the early 90s, if I'm not mistaken, so you can't expect too much. So this is Sailor Saturn. She is, again, kind of like if Pluto is the Mewtwo, Sailor Saturn is the Mew. She shows up like once in a blue moon, and I think she has like the power to destroy the world or something. I'm not really sure how it all works, but she's pretty intense, and she's the least obnoxious, I find, out of all of them when they did the English dub. So, I like her. She's pretty cool. Her power in this thing is that she can make those eggs appear. And you'll see as I play through this level that my screen is just going to be littered with those egg things and littered with monsters. So it makes it really difficult for you to get any talismans down, because they're just going to get eaten up by those monster thingies, because they're everywhere when you play against Saturn. Again, it makes the scepter really important, and it also makes it a more strategic game, because you have to decide, okay, am I going to use the scepter offensively or defensively? And when you're playing against Saturn, that's a real serious question, because you know that you're going to have so many enemies to just have to take out. And it's almost hard to justify using your scepter offensively. And here you can see the eggs appearing on my screen. And I feel like sometimes she only makes 2, but maybe I'm completely making that up. Maybe she gives 3 every time. Excuse me, my goodness. But now I'm going to try and get rid of her talisman with my power, and I successfully do that, which is always nice. And now I'm just waiting for all of them to hatch, because when you use your scepter once, it gets rid of all the enemies on your screen, which is very convenient. So if you just are patient and wait for everyone to hatch, then you can use one scepter defensively, and then you can use maybe one other scepter offensively if you're lucky enough to have 2 on your screen. You'll also notice that compared to when I first started playing the game, there are way more items on the screen than there were originally. This is kind of cool in the sense that you have a lot more scepter powers. The game becomes way more chaotic and more fun, but it's also harder to get combinations because you have fewer balloons to work with, and you have to look harder for your combos than if you're just playing the early levels. But that's okay. I don't mind a challenge, and I've beaten this game so many times. I'm not worried about losing too much. So, yeah. She's playing really aggressively, which is in her nature, but she just lost a talisman, which is very haha for me, very good. It's always nice when they do that to themselves as opposed to you orchestrating it using your powers. It's very satisfying. So I'm just waiting for my last talisman to show up, and generally the more combos you get, the quicker your talisman shows up. But if what just happened to me happens and your talisman goes up off the top of the screen, you kind of have to restart your combos and wait before you get your talisman back on the screen. It doesn't just drop down automatically. It's not like it's in a fixed position. I think it has more to do with you eliminating a certain amount of balloons or something like that, or getting a certain amount of combos. But now I'm just trying to make my talisman come back, so I'm trying to uncover lots of balloons, get lots of combos, really mess her day up, and see where it goes from there. And you'll notice I'm not using my scepter unnecessarily in this case, because I know she has a scepter up, and so I have to wait until she makes her move before I do anything. But now that you saw, I had 2 scepters up, so I could get rid of a monster and still have my backup scepter. And there we go, I got another one, so now I don't have to worry as much. But when you only have 1 scepter on the board, you've got to be much more careful with it. You'll also notice, and I didn't mention this before, that the eggs, if they change position up or down, they will stop their hatching sequence. So if you see them shaking, that means they're about to hatch. But if they change position on the board, then the hatching sequence stops, and after a certain amount of time the hatching sequence will start again, but for until then it stops. So So here I'm going for getting rid of her talisman, and it works. I'm getting really lucky. Usually it doesn't. Or usually it doesn't when there's more than just the 2 options or the 1 option on the screen. So that's always nice. And here I'm trying to get rid of that egg beneath my mirror, because if the egg eats the mirror, then I'm toast. But I think I get it in like a minute. I see what I'm doing here. There you have it, folks. The whole game. I couldn't even tell you the title of this game, but I hope you enjoyed. I had fun playing, and it was a great reprieve from all the studying and the work I've been doing. And I'll see you tomorrow on the next Advent video.